Hey, there's my ESL students. Come on in. You're just in time for ESL Level 4, Lesson 2. And we want to tell you how much we appreciate you being with us. So welcome back to our Lesson 2. Now, one of the things that we're doing a little different this year is Chris and I will be interspersing them. I'll do 1 week, then he'll do 1 week. That's only because for your safety, we want to do it online so we're not together. So if you're with Chris last week, then you probably know that we'll be alternating them. So we really miss you, we really do, but we feel this is the safest way. So in case some of you forgot, probably have, who am I? Well, I'm Greg. And as you know, Chris and myself, we will be still team teaching. And this email will be something that all of you can write to. All of us will be able to get access to that. So we'll be able to know who's watching. We'll be able to find out what kind of concerns you have. If we're going to send some materials to you, we'll be able to go through here. More importantly, we're going to find out how we're doing. Are we doing well? Or being boring? Is it too hard? Is it too easy? You might have some suggestions on things that we can do that we need to change. Those kinds of things. So the main thing is we're here for you, and the purpose is not to do things that we find fun, but we're going to try to do things we feel that you'll enjoy and that'll help you with your English. We also are hoping that we can maybe Zoom a little bit, and if we Zoom a little bit, then that'll allow us to apply what we've learned in class, and it'll also allow us to give you a chance to work on your conversation. So we were doing a lot of that last year. Conversation is really important, especially if you're asked to do it without preparing and think off the top of your head, what's the answer to this question? How would you ask that? So that's sort of the thing we're going to be doing. Now, Chris and the classes between Chris and I are pretty much the same. Chris might be a little bit different than mine, but they're complementary. One thing he may include that I probably won't be something about culture or maybe politics. He's going to maybe bring that in. But you never know. So stay tuned. You just don't know what we'll have. But we'll particularly have a format where we'll look at an idiom and we'll look at some grammar. And don't worry about the grammar, because I think I've got a way that might be fun and easy for you. Okay, you ready? I know you are. You're always ready to learn. All right. We have talked about idioms in the past, and we know how frustrating they can be because they are so culturally relative. I mean, they're really part of our culture. And if you try to make a literal translation, it's not going to make any sense. So the longer you're here, the more you'll understand them. But in the meantime, you're just going to have to learn them. So one of the things I want to do is talk about some from a little different perspective, the way we did it last year. Instead of just looking at it, I want to make sure you can put it in a sentence. So this is an example of what it's not. So if someone were to say a couple of your friends are couch potatoes, is this what they mean? No, not literally. What they may mean is maybe something like this, where you're hanging out, eating, relaxing, you're not doing anything at all. Maybe it's this way. Maybe you're going to have your gown on and looking comfortable. The idea is just comfortable. But it can be used in two different ways. It can be used in just sort of a benign way, a way that's not harsh at all, and just saying, she was so tired last weekend from working. My wife works these 12-hour shifts. She was a couch potato all weekend. She just laid on the couch and she watched movies. That's not a harsh way of saying it. But it might be a little harsher if someone were to say, like my father used to say to me, didn't actually use the word couch potato, but I'll stick it in there. Greg, get off the couch, stop being a couch potato, and do your chores. That's a little more directive. So one of the things that we want to do is we want to remember they're non-literal, not word for word. And the idea is be careful about whether someone means it to hurt somebody's feelings or they're just being playful. How do you know the difference? You got it. Context. What preceded it and what followed it. And you all are very good at that. So for the next couple of classes, the idioms we'll be working on will have to do with at the farm. So in the farm, we'll be looking at animals and personal characteristics using expressions that use animals. So one of the things that you might want to do is you might hear the word sheep. Let me go back to that. You might hear the word sheep. Now, sheep are generally kind of, we'll put that on first. They're kind of cute, they're kind of soft, they're kind of fluffy, and when we think about sheep. However, there may be a way of using this word sheepish a little differently. You might hear somebody say this. It's coming. The boy looked sheepish when the pretty girl smiled at him. So that's kind of a face, a little embarrassed. The boy looked sheepish when the pretty girl smiled at him. Here's another example. The new student's sheepishness made it hard for her to read out loud. See, she's a little embarrassed there. The new student's sheepishness made it hard for her to read out loud. So when you hear the word sheepish, you can think of these things. Could be nervous, maybe the person's bashful, maybe they're even embarrassed. So that's what it kind of means. Now there's another sense in which sheep are used. You probably heard, maybe know this, the black sheep of the family. And generally what that means is kind of an odd member of the family. Maybe they tend to make odd decisions, bad decisions. Maybe they have a bad reputation. Often it's this one here. Often they're kind of odd. So you might have something like this. Since Sandy went goth, that's where the young people were, the black and all those sorts of things, and pins in their head. And since Sandy went goth, she has become the black sheep of the family. So here's a lovely family. And oops, Sandy wasn't supposed to come up there. Let's see. Let's go back to little Sandy. There she is. Well, actually, that was supposed to come in a little differently. So we have this. So there's a beautiful family, and there's Sandy. So you can see Sandy is very different from the rest of the family. They're very traditional, and she is nothing but untraditional. So they might think, if they may love her, care for her, she may be a wonderful person, but they consider the black sheep because she's so unconventional, she's so unusual. So that was the two things we wanted to talk about in terms of idioms. So remember, idioms are going to be cultural, idioms are going to be non-literal, and so when we talk about these, I'm going to assume those things, that they're not literal, you can't translate it word for word. Okay, grammar. Well, I don't know about you, but grammar used to always scare the heck out of me. I never understood grammar. It was like a puzzle box that you turned upside down. There's all the puzzle pieces, but you didn't give me the top so I could see where they go. I just never knew where all the pieces went. It was just too confusing. But have no fear. I found a way to have fun and do it visually. And it was really a way that was done years ago. It's nothing new, but it is something that some people are trying in different areas. But what's the big deal about learning grammar? Do you really have to know it? Well, I think it does make a difference knowing grammar because it'll improve. These are just people that get crazy about it. You may feel this way about grammar. I certainly was like this guy all the time. It'll help you think more clearly, and that's really important. Your thoughts can be precise, and they're in a correct sentence. You'll understand what's being said, and you can say it just the way you intended. The other is it'll give you more confidence when you communicate with someone. You can speak well. One of the things that happened in my first class, one of the fellows, it was a gentleman from India, had come in and he was really upset because he had been asked to do a presentation. He was a technical guy. He was asked to do a presentation in English, and he spoke quickly and no one could understand what he was saying. Half the people didn't. So he was kind of really upset about that because he didn't get a very good review. But we worked on that and he gained confidence and he was speaking slower with more distinction, more articulation, and he was doing quite well. Speak effectively. You want to be able to say what you want to say, how you want to say it. So that's something that's our goal. That's an important goal. All right. So why am I dressed like this? Well, it's like, and this is probably going to be too big for me, but I can put this on. It's really kind of, is that too big? I'm going to wear it anyway. I've got a tool belt here. I'm just going to put it over my shoulder for the time being. But the idea is if you have a guide, it tells you step by step how to reach an objective, it's a whole lot easier. For example, the first thing you're going to do, you can see we've got a foundation here. I think I remember someone saying that you always want to build on solid rock. So when the winds come, it won't blow you away. And then you're going to build your walls. You're going to put your ceiling in, and then a roof over the top. Now this is more simplistic, but essentially those are just the basics. And this is kind of what they call a plan. Some people call it a blueprint because sometimes you'll see it on blue paper. But the whole idea is it just tells you main floor, ceiling, upper floor, rafters, roof. Well, we're going to do something similar in that we're going to start with a foundation. And the foundation is what's a sentence. The main thing about that is we got to know that it's a complete thought. When you're talking and you're expressing yourself, try to make sure it's a complete thought. It's a complete thought. So this get-up's supposed to mean I'm a working. So what's needed to do that? You need two parts, subject and a verb. Let's go back to that again. Subject and a verb. The thing about that, the subjects tell us what the sentence is about. And I think we need to go back two more. Let's see, 1, 2, and there it is. So what is a sentence? It's a group of words to express a complete thought. And what do you need? You need a subject and a verb. What's it about? What's it doing? So subjects will tell us whom or what the sentence is about. And last week, Chris talked about nouns. Subjects as nouns. And remember, when we ask you about nouns, what would they be? If I ask you, what would you say? Person, place, thing, or possibly an idea. So a person, you guys, ESL students, places, Asia, or our church, Maryland, things, pencils, tables, and ideas, freedom or peace. And what's really interesting is the difference between these and this one. These are tangible, you can touch them. You can't touch an idea. And we'll be talking about that as how you understand that as a noun. All right, so what do verbs do? And Chris is going to talk a little bit more about this next week. He's going to tell you that the subject is what the subject is, or what the subject does. That's what the verb is. What is the subject? It'll identify it. What is it doing? And how? And what? Oh, what is it? What is it doing? And the verbs are always going to be every sentence will have at least a subject and a verb. And generally they're action words, but there's lots of different types of verbs, and we'll talk about them. Now, this is the thing that we're going to do. I find it very interesting. The thing about sentence diagramming is that you actually try to visualize how a sentence goes together. You know, what does the subject do? Where does it go? Where does the verb? Where does it go? And this is the way it generally works. You always start with a horizontal line, and then you will divide that line, because you're always going to put your subject over here and your verb over there. And off of this line, we'll learn how different parts come together. The whole idea is, I don't know about you, but if I can see, or if I can understand how parts go together, what a preposition does, why we use a preposition, what is an adjective, why do I use an adjective, where does it go, that helps me sometimes when I can see it. And I'm hoping that you'll find the same thing. So let's diagram a sentence, okay? Now, we said there's two parts. We said there is going to be a subject and there's going to be a verb. The subject is someone or something. The verb is doing or being something. So let's do a couple of simple sentences. I mean, really simple. Now, don't get freaked out. That's a term you may not be familiar with. That means don't get all upset. That's an idiom, freaked out. Don't get real upset if we're too simple for you, because we're building on that foundation, remember? So we're going to build up. And since the sentence is just two parts, essentially, the subject and the verb, we'll diagram that first. So here's one. Fish swim. So we'll put fish where the subject goes, right? And then we'll do swim where the verb goes. And that's telling us what the subject is doing. What's it doing? Swimming. Okay, let's do another one. Dogs bark. Again, these are real simple, but you build on this foundation. Dogs bark. Where do you think the subject goes? And where do you think the verb goes? You're right. The subject's going to go here first, and then the verb is going to go on this side. So these are pretty simple. It's pretty easy. Let's just do one or two together. And these are real simple. I'm going to remove this for a moment. And let's see, maybe I can move this over here a little bit. All right, so let's say if we did babies cry. All right, so we start out with a sentence. Well, I should put that one up there. That's our example. Start out with our foundation, divide it. What's our subject? What's our subject? Our subject is babies. So we'll put our babies down here. It's our subject. And what do babies do? They cry, and that's our verb. Pretty simple, right? Okay, one more. Really easy one too. Another one. Moms cry. Moms cry. All right. Remember now, we're going to build on this, so you got to remember how these work. Here's our foundation. Divide it. We're going to put our subject here, right? Our verb there. Okay, where's the subject? Moms. And what's the verb? Cry. You got it. I know it'll be a piece of cake for y'all. So that's it for this week. That's all I wanted to do, because I just wanted to build the foundation. So you have that now, because every single sentence is going to have a subject and it's going to have a verb. The subject and a verb, every single one. Okay? All right. So what I wanted to just remind you guys, that even though we can't be with you, and we would encourage you to read, listen to language, listen to English, repeat it, keep learning, keep growing. That's the only way. As Chris mentioned, you got to do it over and over and over. But you'll get it, because I can tell that from the conversations we had last year from those who've been with us for a while. So keep up the good work, and remember to contact us if you have anything at all. You have an idea, send it to us at level 4 HVCESL, which is level 4 Hunt Valley Church ESL at gmail.com. Okay, that's it for this week, and I have just one thought for you, and this is from one of the songs in the Old Testament, in which the person singing the song says, "I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made," saying that he's praising God because she is wonderfully and fearfully made. Wonderful are your works, my soul knows them well. And the important thing to keep in mind is that this really speaks to you. You are fearfully, you are wonderfully made, and it's by the one who loves you because of who you are, not because of what you've ever done or didn't do, but simply because of who you are. All right, see you guys next time.